Okay. Okay. I think we're good. Let's go live. Let's talk about the stock market. All right, y'all. Some pretty interesting things going on today with respect to what's up in the markets. Um, Definitely some interesting news with respect to what's going on at SpaceX. A lot of attention with SpaceX and the shares unlocked that unlocked for insiders today. Hence the 4% increase. I'd imagine these are probably index funds forced to acquire shares in SpaceX just because of their weighting rules and all that kind of stuff. So that's probably why we're seeing SpaceX up 4% today. Obviously, good news for SpaceX shareholders, and I'm sure a lot of people are happy in that regard. With that being said, I still think that this is way too much to pay for SpaceX at the moment. This is a stock, in my view, that's worth roughly somewhere between $70 and $80 per share. So I'm not really interested in SpaceX at this price. I'm sure that there are plenty of people that are very interested in their position in SpaceX, especially those of you who may have gotten in at the IPO. So there's a lot of interesting things going on in that regard. Someone asked, is Meta a buy right now? When it comes to Meta, there are things to like about Meta and there are things to be nervous about Meta. In my view, I think that Meta is a buy for now. I would hang on to it. But one thing that you really have to pay attention to with Meta, I think, in my opinion, is that you have to pay attention to what the company is doing with respect to its commitments to long-term liabilities and CapEx, because not all of that stuff is going to be on Meta's filings. So a lot of the data centers that are being built are hidden in other business entities that Meta's still going to end up being on the hook for. So for now, all that to say, for now, yes, I think it could be a good buy the dip opportunity. It's down 3.5% today because of pending legal problems that the company has. If you think that that could be a way to discourage you from the investment, but I'll let you make your decision either way. Thoughts on Applied Digital? Applied Digital, I'm not that excited about. This isn't a company that it's pretty disappointing with respect to their earnings. They should be making a lot of money, but they're not. And the fact that they aren't making money is, I think, a cause of concern. And maybe SanDisk. SanDisk, I know, is did SanDisk break $2,000 a share today? No, they didn't. No, Micron broke $1,000 a share today at some point. I saw SanDisk having another really, really strong day. This is pretty interesting because I wasn't expecting this much appreciation for this company. I was expecting maybe a little bit more, but maybe we're getting our mojo back with SanDisk. They're probably still riding high from their solid investor day that they had recently. So I would imagine that a lot of people are probably pretty excited about that. Could be all right. Could be okay. What about Oracle? Natalie, I'm staying away from Oracle. Oracle's debt load, Oracle's credit downgrade was not great. Thoughts on companies like Micron and SK Hynix? I mean, SK Hynix and Micron, the fundamentals are both there with them. We're back up above $1,000 a share with Micron today, which is pretty exciting. I know that a lot of people are really, really happy about that. But overall, the fundamentals are there, and the fundamentals are there for SK Hynix as well. So it's a question of whether or not you want to own shares in an American company or a European one. Rocket Lab, I think Rocket Lab is too much execution risk, in my opinion. I mean, it's a binary outcome for them. It's risky, and a $52 billion valuation with that much execution risk is too much. TeraWulf, it's okay. NeoClouds, I'm not too excited about. A view on Nebius, Jerome, Nebius is, again, I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest. This is a pretty insane valuation. If you go look at the company's earnings and go look at how they made their money, their one-off bonuses, or the fact that their one-off increases in their income were as a result of appreciation of equity investments the company made, not necessarily a key improvement in the actual fundamentals of a company. What am I a fan of? I'm a fan of Reddit. I'm a big fan of Reddit. I'm a big fan of Take-Two Interactive. I'm a fan of Elf Cosmetics. And I think there are some Mag 7 that are worth buying. Nike still below long-term support. You still up on it? Yes, I am. I am still on it. With respect to Reddit, yeah, pretty rough day actually. We did have a pretty insanely good day on Friday though, so this amount of correction isn't a huge surprise to me. What about XOVR? Look at that fund. All right. Private public crossover ETF for which ventures though? Prospectus may reflect how the fund actually invests. Morningstar. Okay. Prospectus may not reflect how the fund actually invests. Morningstar category is assigned based on the underlying securities in each portfolio. So what are they holding? Like what's this fund holding? Fund primarily in equity securities and mid-large cap companies on the NASDAQ, NYSE, and other exchanges, include common and preferred convertibles, ADRs, and GDRs. Yeah, I mean it could be decent. I'd need to know which securities that they own. Good buying opportunity on Reddit? Yes, I agree. I think it is a good buying opportunity on Reddit. NBIS overvalued, did you say? Yes, Lewis, it 100% is overvalued. You cannot convince me that a company with the earnings quality as bad as Nebius's is worth $74 billion. By the way, it's trading at near 52-week highs, by the way. So for those of you who are super in on Nebius, it might be a decent time to get out. I'm sure the technicals do not support bullish movement at the moment. What's my entry for Apple? I got into Apple a long, long time ago. I think it's a decent entry point for Apple at the moment. Let's see. What about CAR? Carrier Global. You know, Carrier's an interesting one. In my opinion, it could be worth a deeper look. I'd have to take a closer look at the books. They have a solid moat, though. They've got a solid business on their hands with a very defendable position when it comes to market share. There's probably a lot of things to like about Carrier, actually. They've had an okay year. And there could be room for upside on Carrier, honestly. So, I mean, I actually don't have this stock on my watch list at all. So it could be worth putting on a watch list. So definitely something to look right there. How does S&P inclusion work? Is it aftermarket? S&P inclusion is just it's based upon market cap. So Reddit grew big enough to basically kick somebody else out from the S&P 500. Bloom Energy. I'd love to see a good bull case for Bloom Energy. This feels pretty expensive even still. Are we going to get to the point where we're above $300 a share of Bloom Energy? Might be a while before we see that, to be honest. It had a really, really strong run up in Q2. Obviously, I wish I was a part of that opportunity, and obviously, I think that there's a ton of things to like. The technology is interesting. The on-site fuel cell technology is interesting, but we'll see. We'll see. Any thoughts on Hermes? Incredible consumer state, incredible brand, incredible brand power. Take on hey, how are you, Andrew? To your take on Constellation Energy, Mr. Blackberry, what's going on? I like Constellation. They're aggressively pursuing nuclear. I think that's an interesting choice for them to make. I think that they're in a better financial position than some other nuclear players like NextEra and others. The regulatory hurdles of nuclear power make me a little bit concerned, though. What about Ondas? Ondas, I know Ondas is, I think they were kind of having a rough day. Not too bad. I think the company was due for Ondas was due for a correction. And we saw a little bit of that last week, but there could be more in the future for Ondas. It's a pretty expensive stock right now for what they do. There's a lot of things to like about it, but it's expensive. You're paying a high price for it. what's happening to Meta. Meta has some pending legal problems with respect to like social media addiction amongst kids, and it could get ugly for them, which is why they're down. So we'll see. We'll see. MP Materials, what I think. Noah, I think MP Materials is cool. I think the magnetic game is interesting, and providing that stuff for superconducting magnets, I'm sure has some pretty interesting quantum implications. To be honest, I think rare earths are a little more interesting at the moment, though. Okay, FRVO for Mac here. Fervo Energy. I believe these guys are geothermal. Okay, so Mac, why do you like these guys? Like what makes you excited about this company? They've had a pretty rough year. The fundamentals suck from what I can see. So why are we excited about this? 2.6 beta on a $5.8 billion market cap. Not great. Yeah, and the fundamentals don't look that good either. So you tell me why you like it, because I'm not, to be honest, this is a pass. Now Reddit and Take-Two, my top 2 picks. Those are some of my higher conviction plays, yeah. I don't like rank anything though. What about Celsius? Celsius is honestly is in a bit of a concerning position. Back up to about $29 a share, but the guidance and falling short as of Q2, that's I don't know. They may have some sales issues. As Quiz asks about BlackBerry, I don't pay attention to BlackBerry. You don't really care. It feels like a meme, mostly as a meme. And same with Nokia too. This is Yahoo Finance. This is the platform I'm using, and then this is Barron's right here. Did we already talk about Nike? We did not, Olaf, but I know that Nike is had a pretty rough day today. Not great. We're approaching support levels for Nike. I believe the supports that I saw were around $38, $38.75 a share, $38.50 a share. So we'll see. Celsius is awesome. Big Al, I've had Celsius before. Great drink. Wakes you up. That's for damn sure. It as a business though, there are cracks in the foundation that are starting to show. It's not over. They're not cooked or anything, but kinda. How do I not get banned if it's live violated with the setup? I don't know. I mean, I don't show logos or anything like that. I'm trying to avoid it as much as I can. And I've also talked with the ByteDance team as well about my live streams, and I may have a little bit of privilege in that regard. What about United Wholesale Mortgage? Yeah, I don't know, man. They are not in a good spot. Their CEO made some pretty bad calls. And as far as like this being a buy the dip opportunity, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it. Is this the regard that said he'd delete his account if Nike below 4? I never said that, Charlie. You got me confused with someone else. Kazan, I think, has a good upside. Do you have a ticker for them, Noah? Surely Nike and Oracle are good swing profits. I mean, Pranav, I don't swing trade, but you can probably how about you give that a shot and let me know how it works out? You let me know. ALAB and Oust. Astera Labs. Yeah, I've given some thought to Astera. It's expensive. Here's the thing though. With Astera Labs, I know that they have had some pretty impressive growth, especially in revenue. I mean, and on a quarterly perspective, things look quite good as well. I mean, they did about $390 million in revenue Q2 26 with 39% margin, and their balance sheet looks really solid. They're free cash flow negative, but they're putting a lot of money into themselves, I'd imagine, through investing activities. They're priced at about 160 times earnings, though. So I think at this point, the market is priced in perfection for them. They've had a really solid year. And I know that what they're doing in semiconductors is different from guys like, Lam or Applied Materials or Micron or those types. There's things to like about it. It feels a bit expensive for me. I'd love to see a strong bull case. And then Oust. Yeah, we can go look at these. Ouster Inc. I believe I've looked at these guys like one or two times. Production and sale of LiDAR sensor kits. Okay, yeah. I remember these guys. It could be a good one. I haven't followed them that closely. It's pretty volatile, though. They've got a pretty high beta, and I believe that they do have. I believe they are mostly financed by equity. I could be mistaken, though. Yeah. So because of the way their balance sheet is, they probably have a pretty high cost of capital, and they're also losing money. It's pretty expensive. I'd probably pass on Ouster, and I'd probably pass on Astera Labs. I'd like Astera Labs, though, more out of those two. Filippo says, hey, Andrew, thoughts on OXY? As far as energy plays are concerned, I don't think that there's the balance sheets and income statements of most energy companies that I've looked at are basically like rock solid. What I like about Occidental compared to its competition is extremely low volatility, and you get a 2% yield out of it. Really solid defensive play. Extremely solid defensive play. So I think that there's a lot of reason to like about Occidental. Now, they've had a pretty good year so far, but are we going to see like absolutely massive swings like we will with some AI or tech plays? Probably not. So, I'll let you kind of sit on that and decide what you will. It's a solid defensive play, though. Do I like any other retail outside of Amazon? KD, there's been rumors that Target's turning things around. And there could be reason to like that. I know that Target's new CEO, the market has liked more than previous leadership. And they've had a good year. Target's kind of quietly been clawing its way back to around COVID times. And there's a lot of things to like about Target. So I think the leadership is doing a good job. You could still get a very good yield at this level, and it's still at about 20 times earnings, which isn't bad. So that would probably be my other retail pick at the moment. Rigetti, like Rigetti, love what they're doing. Very expensive, and the earnings is a little scary for Rigetti. Their income statement's a little scary. I'm bullish long term on Quantum, though. BZ on NASDAQ for Kazun. What? Okay. Kazun Limited. Kanzun. I've never heard of this company. Communication Services. Subsidiaries operates an online recruitment platform in the PRC. Offers job-seeking services that allow job seekers to read recommendations, chats. Okay, interesting. So what are they doing trading on the NASDAQ? I could give them a look. I mean, what's cool about them? Why do you like them, though? Western Digital. I think that Western Digital is Western Digital compared to SanDisk. Western Digital is kind of like the ugly girl at the high school dance compared to SanDisk. Like SanDisk is, the hot chick that everyone wants to be with, and Western Digital is kind of like off in the corner. There's probably a good reason for that in the fundamentals of the businesses themselves. There's probably a lot to like about Western Digital. From a value investor's perspective, there would be things to like. I would take a close look at Western Digital, but there's There's a reason why Western Digital is only about 22x earnings and SanDisk is much higher. Thoughts on IonQ? Alex, it's a little early for me for Quantum, in my opinion. So what's going on with Nike? Is the market just down? Nike's just not popular. Nobody believes in their turnaround story. That would be my guess. And Target's a little too expensive at this price. What would you need it to be at, Filippo, in order to get in on Target? Thoughts on Reddit? Very bullish on Reddit. I love Reddit. Fantastic fundamentals. Definitely undervalued. Way undervalued at the moment. Thoughts on AppLovin? I got to do my homework on AppLovin. I know that they took a pretty big hit recently. So it kind of reminds me of what happened with IBM. So we'll see. It could be a good opportunity. Reddit's down 13. Well, it was in the 150s last week. So my target price for Reddit hasn't changed. It's still extremely strong business. Mueller Industries. I don't think I've seen these guys before. What do they fabricate? Sells copper, brass, aluminum products in the U.S., UK, Canada, Asia, and more. Okay. Piping, industrial, metals, and climate. It's been around for a very long time. It's probably got a pretty stable, pretty boring margin, pretty consistent revenue stream, I would imagine. Yeah, not many short sellers. Quarter-over-quarter performance, though, has been quite good. And the balance sheet health has been improving. It looks like they made some investments last quarter as well. From a fundamentals, it doesn't look too bad, or at least the first glance at fundamentals. And then with respect to its year, it's kind of been all over the place. Probably decent, but probably not the most exciting thing out there right now. Thoughts on Fermi, FRMI? Yeah, I would need to see a strong bull case for these guys. I mean, it's an interesting space in the real estate game, and I think that they've got an interesting niche. I don't think that niche has turned into an actual business moat yet, though, because it's not making money. And that's probably because they're newish, but this isn't good. Like this isn't great, especially from an earnings perspective. It requires probably a deeper thought or deeper value and or a deeper look into the stock itself and looking into the fundamentals of the company itself, which I think is worth doing. But yeah, I don't know. It's probably a pass for me. Am I still bullish on Nike? Yes, I am. Thoughts on ServiceNow? I know ServiceNow corrected a little bit after its nice run up last week. Yeah, down 5%. Yeah, it's not. It's kind of a bad day, actually. I think ServiceNow is a hold at this price. Last week I said if ServiceNow breaks up above $135 a share, I think that's a good time to get out. I called the bottom on ServiceNow, the local bottom that is, and it's a solid business. They're doing a lot of good stuff. I wouldn't load up on more at this price though. Took profit at the top on out, yeah. And that's a good. Yeah, I'm sure you probably did get good profits. So if you sold anywhere from say 120 to 130, you were probably in a great spot. Meta, Adam, there's things to like about Meta. But as far as a hyperscaler is concerned, I'd probably put Meta in like C tier. Definitely not the worst. Definitely not the best though. They've been growing their off-balance sheet liabilities a lot, and that's something that I think people should keep their eyes on. And it's starting to become a thing of concern. even despite the fact that these companies make money hand over fist. Visa. Yeah, Carlos, it's a solid defensive play. We'll see though. I mean, it's not the most exciting pick in my view. Thoughts on Rheinmetall? It's my favorite European defense contractor. They do a lot of really neat stuff. In my view, I think that we're probably going to see budgets increase for European defense contractors, which means that puts Rheinmetall in a good spot. USAR. Anthony would probably be my one rare earth pick at the moment if I wanted exposure to rare earth. Carnival Cruise Lines, for those who are asking. Very cyclical, pretty complex balance sheet, and they have with cyclical companies that are in the space, like whether it's airlines, cruise lines, or automotives, if it's a cyclical business and a very clearly cyclical business, they have to manage their working capital perfectly. And as far as an entry point for Carnival, yeah, I mean, I'm not like super bullish on it. If I had shares in it, I'd probably hang on to it because it's so cheap relative to its earnings, but it's okay. It's okay. Thoughts on CVS? I mean, they're the dominant player in their space. There's no question about it anymore. I mean, when Walgreens, was taken private and all that stuff, that basically put CVS on the map. The thing is that the bigger you get, the more predictable your earnings become. So that means that you're probably not going to be rewarded as much in your stock price as other opportunities, particularly smaller companies that show signs of promise. So would I hang on to my shares in CVS? Probably, yeah. I mean, you get a 2.75% yield with a beta less than 1 on a $120 billion market cap. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Would I get in at this price? Maybe. I just have to do more work and take a look at the books. Thoughts on Videotron? I need a ticker for that. IREN. IREN is probably my favorite NeoCloud, but I'm not bullish on NeoClouds. Advanced Drainage Systems, Inc. Who are these guys? Never heard of these guys. Designs, manufactures, markets. Excuse me. Manufactures, markets, thermoplastic corrugated pipes and related water management products in U.S., Canada, and internationally. Nice. Okay. Okay, so they probably have quite a few customers. And they probably do that for quite a few industries. As far as their fundamentals are concerned, 25 PE, not much short interest. Beta seems okay. What are we at? A $11.4 billion market cap. Pretty consistent revenue year over year. Margins seem to stay pretty sticky at around 14%. And they might be stockpiling cash on their balance sheet, maybe. How do things look quarter over quarter? Q2 was a big improvement. That's probably pretty predictable, though. And how have they done this year? Advanced Drainage Systems. Kind of an year. Basically flat, little less. I'll put it on a watch list, but it's probably appropriately valued at the moment. I would say it's appropriately valued. Do ZTS. Zotis. Need a quick refresher. Yeah, healthcare. Diagnostics, right. Cross. Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, I was going to do a deep dive on these guys a while back, actually. Yeah. This is ringing a bell. Um, to be honest, this feels like a value trap. I don't like. Tell me why you like ZTS, because this is a pretty hard fall. I mean, ouch. I to be honest, I don't get it. Sandisk, is it going higher? Mo, I'd imagine it'll probably correct a little bit considering the last couple of days and weeks it's had. It's been very good. So I don't know. Go look at Figma. Figma. Um, to be honest, I like Figma is something that I'm not super bullish on, just because I don't think that their moat is as strong as people believe it is. Um, while they definitely do some interesting stuff, and I think that they do have, a solid subscription business. The problem is that Figma is probably something that I don't believe in the moat, to be honest. Um, if somebody has a strong bull case for them, I'm all ears. I'd happily hear it. But this is for what they offer, not a huge fan, to be honest. Mo, thank you for the roses. Appreciate you. Thank you, thank you. MP Materials, Sovereign Joe. That's a good. That's a solid rare earths. Or excuse me, that's a solid. If I think that if you want to get a part of the quantum supply chain, the quantum computing supply chain, MP Materials is a good place to start. Especially if you're into companies that produce superconducting magnets, or at least get the materials for it. I think rare earths is a little bit better of an opportunity for now. I can see why people like it. Adobe tried to purchase Figma, the current valuation, a couple years ago. Yeah, I remember hearing about that, and I know it fell through because of financing. That was kind of a concern. Pen and paper will probably surpass Figma at some point. To be honest, I don't think that's a wild take at all. That's why I'm not like. I think that Figma's moat and how it defends its niche and its market share is probably kind of tough. Thoughts on Marvel? Marvel's expensive. It's expensive. I mean, you're paying 81x trailing 12-month earnings for a company that is in kind of a crowded space and a popular space. You can definitely get shares in businesses that are trading for cheaper and probably have better fundamentals. Not super stoked on Marvel as much. It's not bad, but it's expensive. Look at 2029 EPS. Hmm. I have V and AXP. I'm about to break even. Do you think I should sell and put it into better stocks? For Verizon or for Visa, sorry. It depends on what your risk tolerance is and how much risk exposure you want. Visa's a defensive play. It's a well-known defensive play. So if you're looking for more volatility, maybe consider something else. Matt, thank you so much. Thank you, Matt. Look at AUR. Sure. Aurora Innovation. I've glanced at these guys. Yeah. This car parts company. Yeah. Or I'm sorry, no, the self-driving business. I know that they've been losing money for a while. I don't think they've had a profitable year since inception, and they've been around for almost 10 years at this point. What's concerning about the story with Aurora Innovation is that if they're not making money right now, what's the plan? I mean, they had a $270 million net loss in Q2 26 and expects to earn 14 to 16 million this year on how much revenue? Doesn't say. We can go to their financials here in Barron's really quick. 2025 Oh, yeah. $3 million in 2025 in revenue. That's not good. No, hard pass on them. GE, what do you think? Mo, are we talking about GE Vernova or GE Aviation or healthcare? Or which one? Opinion on Devon Oil? I need a ticker. Can you give me a ticker? UPST. Jake says UPST. Go look at them. Sure. Financial services. Okay. Cloud-based AI lending platform. Personal, auto, and other. Okay. Unsecured personal, small dollar loans, auto refinance, auto retail. Okay. And home equity lines of credit. It could be interesting. It looks like their fundamentals are quite good. Financial services are interesting though because it's like this isn't a new or revolutionary thing that they're doing. It looks like they finally broke a profit in 2025 on a 5% margin. They have a lot of debt. And revenue growth has been decent. Pretty bloated balance sheet though. I mean, I think the thesis behind something like this, or at least why you would make money on this or decide to invest in this company, is if you think that personal credit and auto credit is going to improve in the future. I'm personally not super bullish on that thought, so no, I would pass. How's the CoreWeave short working out? Unlimited, one of them. I made so I had two short positions. The first short position I had was at 102 a share, and I got out at 68.50, so that was a nice one. And then my other short is I'm down a little bit. I'm down about 10%. And that one is at 95 a share. Good price for NVIDIA. As far as NVIDIA's commitments are concerned, I don't know if there's... I mean, you got to be on board with Jensen Huang and his vision for what AI is, I think, if long term. As far as its current price, I to be honest, I think around 200 was the right spot to get in when it was around 23, 24x. It's a little expensive in my view. Is Micron going back to 1250? Alex, I think we'll see a little bit more correction before we get back to 1250. It's possible though. And then SSD, go look at this company. Sure. Simpson Manufacturing. Okay. Designs, engineers, manufacture, sells structural solutions for wood, concrete, steel. Okay, connectors faster. Yeah, nice. All right. So it's yeah. 21.4x earnings, 1.3 beta. It's a little high though. So why do you like these guys? Like, what's interesting about this? What's the catch here? Because we've seen year-over-year revenue grow slowly. Margins stayed consistent. The balance sheet stayed consistent. There's quarter-over-quarter growth right here. But what's cool about them? Why? Why do you like them? Thoughts on GE Aerospace? As far as GE Aerospace is concerned, I know why. What I like about GE Aerospace is the fact that CFM's a subsidiary of theirs. It's the most widely produced turbofan engine in the world. That gives them a nice leg up on Rolls-Royce, in my opinion. So at least in the narrow body mid-range market, so just like A320s, or at least older A320 models and 737s, and newer CFM variants going on 737 Maxes. I think that there's a lot to like about the total accessible market for GE Aerospace because they really only really have truly one competitor. I think it's appropriately valued though. They've had a pretty solid year. We're near 52-week highs. I don't think this is the right point to get in, to be honest. It's probably worth a little bit of a wait. 195.81 at 24 PDs, 50 days, 195.4, and it's 200 191.7. Okay, but that's so for Simpson, so Wipe and Apes for Simpson Manufacturing. So you like it just from a technical perspective. Do you not care about the underlying business behind the shares? Because I get like that's fine. And that's totally okay, but I think that if you're going to buy stock in a company, you need to know what the fundamentals look like and what they do. Opinion on Devon Oil. Hobbylos, I need a ticker. Give me a ticker. DVN, Devon Oil. Devon Energy. Nice day for them today. Not bad. Okay, yep, another oil and gas in Texas. Okay, so they exploration, development, oil. Okay, they got Delaware Basin, Eagle Ford, North America, and Anadarko in Western Oklahoma. Nice. Okay. They're trading at a pretty cheap price right now. You get quite a low beta. Oh, they're at a $52 billion. Okay, that makes more sense. Uh, it's probably not bad. You're gonna have similar volatility to something like much larger oil companies. A similar yield. It's probably okay. I wouldn't call it defensive, but I mean it behaves. Behaves defensively though. It looks like it could be a defensive play. Yeah, I mean I'd call it a light defensive play. There's probably more to be excited about. Dividends are in September. Yeah, I mean awesome. There you go. Collect your 2.79%. That's not bad. I think that there are other opportunities I would be more excited about in my view. CRM is for Salesforce. It's a bit of a dinosaur to be honest, guys. The market really doesn't like Salesforce. I think if you want to capture more upside or at least see a little bit more exciting movement and potentially realize profits, larger profits sooner, albeit with higher volatility, ServiceNow might be a better bet in my view. Can you name one more exciting than Devon Oil? Yeah, I think Reddit's more exciting. I think Take-Two Interactive is a more exciting stock. Take-Two Interactive has had a pretty decent year. Last 6 months have been pretty good. I've done deep dives on both. Go to my YouTube channel if you're interested in that. Please check out Nike. Mutton Balls, I've said I'm bullish on Nike. I've done my deep dive on Nike as well. There are things to like about the three that I've just mentioned. Elf Cosmetics is another interesting one. This was one of my bigger wins that I wish I actually bought more shares in. This company did a fantastic strategic move last year in acquiring Hailey Bieber's brand. And it was right around here where I did my deep dive about a month ago, maybe a little more. My target price for Elf is about $100 a share. And there's a lot to like about what they're doing. And as far as other exciting opportunities, I think that you're probably going to see what's going on with SanDisk, see what's going on with Micron. I mean, SanDisk has had a pretty insane run today. Like this isn't bad. Cosmetics is bad in a recession. You should tell that to Elf because they're not. They've been stealing market share from Estee Lauder and Olay for a while. How about TSM? They're building multiple plants. There's a lot to like about TSM. Yeah. I mean, TSM, in a lot of ways, is basically ground zero, or is the starting point. They're the origin for the AI supply chain in a lot of ways. I don't think that they're going anywhere anytime soon, and it's probably a solid long-term hold. How about Nebius? They've been going crazy. I think Nebius, honestly, the technicals tell me Nebius is due for a short. It may be worth shorting Nebius. Their run-up has been nuts. And their Q2 earnings, like, I mean, they were fine. And the market was really stoked. The market's just paying attention to revenue for neoclouds. That's a mistake. They need to be paying attention to earnings. And they need to be paying attention to a lot of stuff. They're consolidating, sure, but it's exposure to consumer spending. Well, that's been pretty good, though, Xanadu. And they're gaining market share on their competitors. So they've got multiple tailwinds in their favor at the moment. Nebius revenue up 8x last year, and stock's only up 3x. And you should go look at their earnings. Go look at their income statement, because it's not pretty. What's up, Wilt? How you doing, man? Sterling Infrastructure. All right. Sterling Infrastructure. I believe these guys are provision of e-infrastructure, transportation, building solutions. Okay. Provides site development services for blue chip end users in the e-commerce, distribution, data center, manufacturing. Oh, cool. All right. I got these guys confused with someone else. Nice. All right. So they do the development work behind that. They do all kinds of stuff. Interesting. All right. So Patrick, like, tell me what you think. Like, what impressive growth quarter over quarter. And a 13.3% margin for a construction company. That's good. I'm good, Wilt. Thanks for checking in, man. Not too bad. Not too bad. Is Reddit undervalued? Yes, it is. In my view, it is 100%. The air bubble is popped. If you think the market's irrational, wow, now things are probably going to get even crazier. In my view, Sterling Infrastructure seems like an interesting one, though. I'll add it to my watch list, because I didn't see Patrick. I can't see your response, but it looks like an interesting idea. Can we do Dutch Bros? Yeah, Ollie, for Dutch Bros, here's the thing. Dutch Bros, at this point, it's a real estate play, just because of how the model's set up. They had to acquire a salad brand recently to get their hands on more real estate. And development costs are quite high at the moment, and they have a unique footprint compared to other single tenant triple net formats, like fast casual restaurants or drive-throughs, that kind of stuff, or like standalone Starbucks. So in my view, it's expensive. They've got a great little niche, and they've been giving Starbucks hell, which is awesome, because Starbucks doesn't deserve the treatment that they do or have had over the last couple of years. So they're turning up the heat on Starbucks, but it's a bit expensive for my taste at the moment. Reddit undervalued. What about Snapchat? No, Snapchat's not. Snapchat, if anything, is overvalued, because Snapchat's business model is just fundamentally much weaker, and they're still not making money. Snapchat doesn't have as sticky of an ecosystem as Reddit does. That's why Reddit has an advantage. That's why its ad revenue is much stronger. Reddit also does a much better job of placing its ads, and its user base is growing. Snapchat's is kind of all over the place. This is Yahoo Finance, Manu. Bloom Energy. Okay, so so Matthew, tell me what you think. Like, why are you curious about Bloom Energy? What do you like about them? Because I think that Bloom Energy they have an interesting niche. They've had a remarkable year, but the problem is that it's expensive. It's trading at a pretty high valuation at the moment. So the question is the market correctly pricing in future growth, or is it not? Overvalued? I agree that it's overvalued, and I'm curious to hear from people who disagree with that, because I genuinely want to learn. Like, why do you think it's just in a growing sector far from ATH? I mean, is there anything else? Because there's a lot of stuff that's in a growing sector. What do I think of Celsius? Faisal, I think Celsius is their Q2 earnings wasn't pretty. It was a miss and not great guidance. Celsius did bounce back though quite a bit, which is pretty interesting. I mean, they fully recovered from this. So basically, what's weird is that they just had their Q2 earnings report. It wasn't good. Yet somehow they're worth the same what they were beforehand. So that's why I'm kind of avoiding Celsius. And the beverage business is just brutal. It's a brutal game. The two businesses that I would never get into would be a drink or the airlines. Never would get into that. How do I feel about Intel's drop off after earnings? Are we talking back here? Like back in July? Because when they had their Q2 earnings for Intel, that was a great report. A lot things looked very good for Intel. They knocked it out of the park, but the market decided to punish them. I want to believe in Intel. I want to buy stock in Intel. It's too expensive, though. I mean, the amount of effort it's going to take to turn around the foundry business is pretty. It's going to be a lot. It's going to take a lot. I got in on Intel back in 2022 at around $50 a share, held it through all the pain, and I got out at 130. And I think I'm just not going to swing at this pitch. Or automobile markets, it's so brutal. Phil, I don't even buy stock in automotive companies, whether it's Tesla, Ford, GM. I just don't buy stock in them. Daily W says ESNT. Sure. Essent Group Limited. Never heard of these guys. Who are they? Okay, they're in Bermuda. Subsidiaries provides private mortgage insurance, reinsurance, title insurance, and settlement services to lenders, borrowers, investors. Cool. So they're in the mortgage insurance business. Nice. In Bermuda, of all places. Love it. Yeah, and they're at 9.6 times earning a 2% yield. Yeah, so honestly, it's interesting how much it moves. Pretty interesting how it moves. To be honest, I think that this stock is probably very sensitive, I would imagine, in my view, to movements in the housing market. This run-up right here, I would imagine, was because of good housing data. Where they insure mortgages, though, I'd imagine it's probably in the U.S., maybe elsewhere, but we'll see. Opinion on NVIDIA and super short. Are you talking about Michael Burry short on NVIDIA user 273? Highest conviction position besides TTWO. My short on CoreWeave and my long position on Reddit. Those are my highest conviction plays. I also like waste management too. That's my favorite defensive at the moment. No, me personally. Wait, user 273, are you asking me about my opinion on a short position in Nvidia or I'm can you clarify your question cuz I lost you there. Are you in Reddit or currently what's your ACB and percent of portfolio? I got into Reddit let's see. Let me check. I got into Reddit. It's less than 10% of my portfolio at the moment. I got into Reddit at 164 after the recent correction. And Reddit is currently 1 second. 6% of my portfolio. Yes, do I think Nvidia is a good buy? Nvidia at the moment, I'd hold shares in Nvidia. I'd say, Nvidia is it's appropriately valued. I think that we could see Nvidia come down a bit. So it would just be a technical play. The fundamentals for Nvidia though are incredibly strong. So for me personally, I'd probably take a look at the technicals and see if we're going to see it come down to around maybe like 215 to 220 a share. Maybe get in on that price. All right, why the short on CoreWeave? And has your thesis on CoreWeave changed after earnings? Yes or no? Okay, so my thesis on CoreWeave, my conviction in my short position in CoreWeave went up after its Q2 earnings. The company's balance sheet deteriorated in health quite significantly from the first to the second quarter. Interest expense practically tripled. I mean, they paid something like $600 million in interest alone on all the debt that they have. A lot of their debt too is exposed to a lot of macro factors. They have a lot of floating rate debt, which is a big problem. So they have to carry a bunch of interest rate swaps on their books to hedge that risk, which is premium that they have to pay. Not exactly cheap. And the other thing too is that CoreWeave does not disclose who its biggest customers are, which is a red flag. Because it's easy to surmise who it is, but they're not even being honest about who they're selling their AI cloud computing to. And they're also competing with those customers, one of which is a large hyperscaler that's going to have more pricing power than they will when it comes to compute. So no, I'm definitely more short on CoreWeave. The market is only paying attention to revenue with neoclouds at the moment. Long term, that's a huge mistake. What do you think about Micron? Would you still buy at the current price? To be honest, Vanessa, I like Micron. Really strong fundamentals. At this price, I want to check the technicals just because of how insane this run up has been over the last couple of weeks. It's been quite the move for Micron. Maybe wait for a little bit of a correction, but the fundamentals are there. So if it's not, I don't think it's irrational to get in on Micron at this price at all. Two of those customers have to be Meta and Google. For CoreWeave, Meta is one of them. It's rumored that Google is the other. If not, it's Microsoft. And then OpenAI is another big, another big customer of theirs. Nike's finally at a price where it's getting insanely cheap. What do you think of it? I'm bullish on Nike. My bullish conviction on Nike has faded a little bit. I still think the management team is doing the right things. The market's not paying enough attention to the good things that Nike's doing. They're too worried about China and the slow inventory turnover in China. Good entry price for Dutch Bros? Not really. Don't love it, to be honest. Bro, no one answered my question. User 419, try again. I'm trying to catch up with everybody's questions here. There's a ton of them. What's your view on the Vineland hearing? Jacob, I don't have a view because I haven't paid too much attention. I haven't paid super close attention to it. There we go. Blue Owl ensuring meta, all meta. That's clever. Blue Owl, I mean, with respect to Blue Owl, I mean, they set up the financing in the SPV for meta. What makes me nervous about Blue Owl is all the private credit stuff they have going on. But this is not. They're sitting on some toxic assets they're not telling anybody about. Got some to invest with 2 stocks. Do I like? I like Reddit and Take-Two Interactive. Oracle, Nebius, Palantir. Bad, even worse. Okay. Is Trump really putting into NVIDIA? I didn't hear anything about this. No. Why do you like Take-Two Interactive? Because they've already broken records on pre-orders for GTA 6, and the market. No, it's not solely based on GTA 6 for Take-Two Interactive, James. The company's margins on its Zynga label are improving, and they finished amortizing all of the IP as a result of that Zynga acquisition from 2022. The Take-Two Interactive did not have great years right here because they bought Zynga back here in 2022, and when Apple changed some of the rules to allowing people to opt out of certain things being tracked, certain ads for microtransaction games on Zynga's platform didn't work as well. That impacted Take-Two Interactive pretty badly. So over the course of 23, 24, and 25, they were amortizing a lot of that IP. It's honestly been a fantastic investment since then. It's a great company. And the other cool thing, too, is that their publishing label, you can capitalize costs onto your balance sheet. So it improves the health of your balance sheet as you develop stuff. It's pretty interesting, actually. So they have a really strong business model. Their IP is an absolute fortress, especially Rockstar Games. I mean, everybody knows about Grand Theft Auto. And I don't think the market is correctly priced in how well Grand Theft Auto 6 will perform. It's going to shatter records. It's going to absolutely shatter records. I'm still very, very young. I want to buy some Nikes, good long-term investment, 10 plus years. Callum, I think so. In my opinion, I think so, but do your own due diligence. GTA 6 going to flop. Do I day trade? No, I don't. Just joined. Is it a buy for you? It is, Nick. Yeah, this is one of my higher conviction buys at the moment. CZ333, go ahead. I'm trying to keep up with everybody's questions. I'm not deliberately ignoring anyone. I'm just doing my best to keep up with everyone. My best long-term plays, Apple is probably my best long-term play. Applied Materials is also one of my best ones too. Axon Enterprises. Okay. Let's go look at Axon. I believe that they have... So cloud-based software as a service solutions, capture, store, manage, analyze video data. Okay. Right. And they've got some other, they got counter drone technology and camera equipment. Yeah, these guys are the ones that make body cams, right? For police officers in the U.S. at least. And then let's go look at their fundamentals here really quick. I believe that's the case. Flock competitor. So this is Flock Cameras, one of their big competitors. Year-over-year revenue growth is very impressive. How about quarter over quarter? Not too bad. Earnings are a little all over the place, though. And on a 3% margin, that's pretty thin. I would have expected it to be more than that. There's probably more to that story, though. And the balance sheet looks decent. They're priced pretty expensively, though. I mean, it's a $50 billion company on how much in earnings last quarter? $29 million in net income. You extrapolate that out for the rest of the year, call it, it's probably around $150 million in income for the course of 2026. Why do you like them? CZ, like, what do you like about them? What's so interesting about these guys to you? Because this feels expensive. It feels very expensive. What are your high growth defense stocks you like? I mean, Ondas is a pretty popular one. If you want a super high growth play, Ondas could be your bet there. I can just see them taking off with flocks that press and such more surveillance ongoing. So because flocks getting bad press, these guys could be a good investment. Here's my response is go look at the company's books, go look at what they sell, go look at how they use their money, go look at where they spend their money and how they make a profit. Because you're paying 253 times earnings for this company. That's like 10 times the price of some other decent businesses that you could purchase stock in. This is quite expensive. What's a good entry point for AMAT? Honestly, Beatrice, that's it's hard to tell. AMAT's been all over the place lately. Yeah. If it dips below 500, that could be a good entry point. That would be my thoughts. I've held AMAT for a long time though. ASML in 5 years. ASML is like Taiwan. Is like TSM. It's an absolute fortress of a company. They're going to be around for a long time. Lithography is extremely hard to get into, but extremely profitable. So I'd keep them around. Okay, thoughts on Indie Semiconductor just breaking out of a long trend? Oh, geez. I mean, that looks like a top of a breakout right here. I'd have to go look at this earnings report. 8% beat. That's good. I mean, Morris, like what's the thesis? What's your thesis for these guys? What side am I using? Peter, this is Yahoo Finance, and then this is Barron's right here. MP Materials, USAR. Nira, I like USAR a little more. That's a more exciting play in my view. Thoughts on big tech shadow banking? That sounds like you're referring to private credit, Nate. Unless you can, I mean, there's some the level 3 securities for private credit funds are concerning. There's some very concerning things going on with private credit. Blue Owl, I think, is the poster child of a lot of bad stuff going on with private credit and off balance sheet debt. I mean, look, I just posted like a 5-minute video on my TikTok about this topic specifically with hyperscalers. I think we're at the point in the bull market where people have to pay really close attention to what people are doing. There's still reason to believe companies like Meta and Amazon and Google are going to continue to do well. I think the market's going to continue to reward these hyperscalers. But I think people who don't pay attention to what these guys are doing with off-balance sheet liabilities and or like software as a service companies relying on PIK arrangements, payment in kind arrangements from private credit funds, you got to keep your eyes on that stuff. This is kind of like mid to late stage bull market activity. Concerning. Yahoo Finance and Barings. What's the one you like? Barron's. Here, I'll spell it in the chat. It's Barron's. That's the website. Barron's is you don't need a subscription to see what I'm seeing, but to like read articles and stuff, you need a subscription. AUR thoughts. Is this Aurora Innovation? Yeah, Ollie, I don't like them. Yeah, the self-driving game. No, I'm not a fan of them. I mean, like they did $3 million in revenue in 2025. Like that's a joke. Are you kidding? Come on. And they've been around for 10 years now. Like they screwed some stuff up. Can we check out Kratos Defense? Yeah, KTOS. Don't like this defense contractor either. There's better ones out there. It's extremely expensive. These guys barely make money. I think their margin was like less than 1% at some point. Yeah, okay, so you do $1.35 billion in revenue in 2025 and you make 22 million bucks in income. That's very bad. Yeah, 96 basis point margin, less than 1% margin in Q2. 460 million in revenue and $4.4 million in profit. That sucks. These guys, and yeah, they're priced at 373 times earnings, extremely expensive. And still overvalued despite the bad year that they've had. No, not a fan of Kratos at all. Barron's or Wall Street Journal? Ideally both, Nate. Ideally both. Can we look at Netflix? Yeah. Oh man, Netflix. Netflix is like I want to love Netflix, but I can't because of the Q2 report. The valuation of Netflix is attractive. This is a very attractive valuation. The problem is that management has shifted the goalposts on how they measure user engagement, and Netflix also has a content and a price problem. So with Netflix, they need to tackle one of those issues first. They need to either produce better content or get better pricing for their customers. I think Netflix got complacent and lazy over the last couple of years. And people are maybe starting to realize it, and it hasn't been a great year for them. Now, I know Bill Ackman just got in. Perishing Square just got into Netflix. And when a large whale gets in that's worth paying attention to, Netflix new show sucks, like Who Wants to Watch Let's Marry Harry. Yeah, right. Well, you ask white women between the ages of 18 and 40 years old, and they'll probably love that stuff. So that's probably what's keeping Netflix afloat. But they absolutely have a content problem. I agree. Can we check Rivian? Ollie, I'm not a fan of Rivian either. I don't buy automotives. Rivian, no. Can you share what ETFs I hold? It's just VTI and VU, Daniel. And then in an IRA, I've got a bond ETF. That's been a joke. It's not been good. But Uber's an interesting one. Yeah. So here's Uber over the last month. For me, Uber's worth paying attention to because it does have decent fundamentals, but it's a fully matured company at its current stage. I think that Uber is I think that there's a good chance Uber may end up acquiring Grab. And if that happens, that could be accretive for shareholders in Uber. But as far as continuing to hold, like getting into Uber, the valuation's interesting, but you got to be able to have more. You have to have more to your thesis than just what the valuation is. Like here's year-over-year growth for Uber. It looks good. Quarter over quarter looks decent. How they're going to grow things and Uber needs to expand horizontally. They vertically integrated the whole rideshare system pretty well. I mean, they invented it. Now it's how do they capture more markets? And for Uber, it'll be interesting to see what they do. It's on my short list. I'm not into Uber yet. SoFi, I think SoFi is kind of boring. Curious on what your long-term, let's say 5 to 10 years on Tesla thinking as well in terms of Optimus. I mean, Tesla's probably going to be around in 5 to 10 years. I don't want to buy stock in Tesla because it's extremely expensive to how much money the company actually makes. And I think that automotives is kind of a boring sector. It's too cyclical for me. Automotive companies I don't think are good. You go look at Ford, you go look at GM or Rivian or these they haven't been great performing stocks. Uber is still considered a startup at a huge scale, acquiring national companies. Well, if it's a large company acquiring large, or if it's a big scale business acquiring large national companies, is it even a startup anymore? I mean, like where do you draw the line? How do you see Microsoft and Meta going in the next 3 to 5 years? Djibouti, it'll be interesting. Longer term, I believe more in Microsoft because they have better leadership. Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know if you guys read Mark Zuckerberg's letter, his whole AI is for everyone essay. But it was he doesn't get it. Mark Zuckerberg can't see the forest through the trees. And he's going all in on basically creating a super intelligent AI agent for every single person on his social media platforms. I didn't read his stuff. You should go read it if you own shares in Meta, because that's who's in charge of the company you're invested in. So do you only see Tesla as like a car company? I mean, WageTech, yeah, but you tell me what you think. Like, give me your thoughts. I'm also interested in like what's your bull thesis? I'm interested in hearing as well. Sorry, late to the party, didn't catch Netflix. How do you see it at current $76 current price? Mandia, I'm gonna wait. I want to see how Q3 looks. I know it's got a lot of attention recently because Bill Ackman just got in. And if he's buying 3.2 million shares, it's worth taking a look. Because Bill Ackman he's got losses, but he has more wins. So if you have a good thesis for Netflix, probably worth taking another look at it and maybe mentioning it. But the thing is Meta has the moat. They have the moat. They have the market share, and there's a lot of things to like about them. It's what the company did in Q2 is what I was a little concerned about. Iren is okay. NeoClouds, I'm not long term. I'm not bullish on NeoClouds though. Thoughts on CRSP, CRISPR Therapeutics? Not sold on the fundamentals. Definitely seems like the future. I know what CRISPR Therapeutics are, or what CRISPR technology is, but what company's CRISPR-9 is a technology for gene editing, specifically altering the sequences of genomic DNA, therapeutic programs across various. So here's what I'll say about biotech. This is not an area of my expertise. Biotech doesn't take up a lot of my portfolio because I need to know what I'm investing in. I like to be comfortable with my level of knowledge of what I'm investing in. So I would want to like learn about all this stuff more before buying shares in it. And if you're not sold on the fundamentals, then maybe it's worth passing on. Rui, Nike, I'm bullish on Nike. Go to my YouTube channel, watch my video on Nike. It's an unpopular opinion, but I like Nike. I like their leadership. I like what they're doing. What about Caterpillar? Yeah, they had a pretty insane run up through the first half of the year. To be honest, I think Caterpillar is appropriately valued. So we'll see. I would I get in on a Caterpillar at this price? No, but it's had incredible growth. There's no denying how well Caterpillar has done. Are we going to get above $1,000 a share again for Caterpillar? Hard to say. I don't see that happening anytime immediately soon. How many companies do I hold and what's their max percentage holding? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 10. That also includes a short position though. So, and the max percentage that one of my holdings is 19%. So not definitely not optimally balanced. We shorting Snowflake? Are we? Are we? I know that they had a pretty insane month. Do the technicals tell us to short Snowflake? Elon said that he will build an AI center and make more robots. I see Tesla as a full AI company that can do anything. Well, all of the AI that Elon Musk is involved in is under SpaceX. It's under the SpaceX umbrella, not Tesla. So if you want to buy stock in Tesla and you're bullish on robots, that could be a move because he said he wants to get to start building robots instead of cars. But thoughts on Oracle? Guy, not a huge fan. Oracle's debt load, I think, is going to catch up with them. And the company's own credit rating had to get downgraded because of how risky these forward purchase agreements with Oracle are. Or not Oracle, with OpenAI are. There's not a snowball's chance in hell that OpenAI is going to spend hundreds of billions of dollars with Oracle. Those agreements they're not going to fully come to fruition, in my view. And Oracle is using the most debt in its relative to its capital structure compared to all the other hyperscalers. This is not Oracle's a dumpster fire. I agree, Nate. I agree. This is one of Michael Burry's shorts that I agree with. He's a braver short seller than I am, though. So, no, I do not like Oracle. Am I going to short sell it? No, but I'm sure as hell not going to buy stock in it at the moment. Thoughts on Super Microcomputer? Awesome fundamentals. The legal concerns are something that I think is worth spending time looking at, but yeah. No. I don't have the time to. It's strong. The SMCI I like as a business. I like it. Am I going to let what's going on with the fundamentals discourage me from getting in? It requires some work. Requires some due diligence. Oracle 220 soon. You think so? No way. Best anchor stock for a portfolio? My anchor stock is Apple. Consumer cyclicals, like very big consumer cyclicals, are also a good anchor stock too. So think like Walmart, something like this. Think about ServiceNow. ServiceNow, I think, is appropriately priced. I would not get in at this price, but I wouldn't sell at this price. I think if ServiceNow breaks out about 135, I would get out. But the good time, I called it on my live stream a while back. I said if it's, if it gets below 90, like 93, 94 share, that's a good time to get in. And that was right back here. Do I like Zeta? Not my favorite, to be honest. Not my favorite. I get why people like Zeta, but I would need to see a strong bull case. I would need to see a pretty strong bull case for Zeta. All right, guys. I'm going to call it a stream, but thank you very much, everyone, for joining. I had a ton of fun talking with you guys today. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and asking questions. I always enjoy doing with y'all, so I really appreciate the the conversation. Love exchanging ideas with everyone. Always have a ton of fun doing this. If this is your first time hanging out, this is part of my channel. I live stream every day, talk about the stock market, occasionally the housing market as well. And I will be back tomorrow, probably around anywhere like 3 p.m. Eastern US for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. JD, I start anywhere from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, United States, US time. And I usually go for about an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. So tune in then. And if I missed your question, I'm sorry. There were a lot of you guys today. It was a pretty active chat today. I always love that, but I can't get everybody, so I apologize. So make sure you hit follow so that way you get notified next time I go live, so then you can ask your questions. But DMs are open too. DMs are open too. So feel free to ask questions there if you'd like to. And if you guys got an answer from me, whether it was like Zeta, whether it was Nike, whether it was Microsoft, whether it was some other, and it was like, okay, that was a nice answer, but go more in depth, Andrew. I want to hear more. Tell me more about what you think. That's on my YouTube channel. All my deep dives are on my YouTube channel, so go watch that if you want to see everything in detail. That's where I pick companies apart. Line by line, I go deep into the weeds. And then come up with a target price. So go hit follow on TikTok. Go hit subscribe on YouTube. That mean a ton to me. And thank you guys so much. And we'll talk tomorrow. Everyone have a fantastic evening. Take care.